Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Sri Guru Samhita, The Legend of the Supreme Guru. Original in Marathi as Sri Guru Charitra by Sri Gangadhara Saraswati. Composition in Sanskrit by His Holiness Sri 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 Vasudevananda Saraswati, also known as Tembe Maharaj. This translation into English is provided by Dr. Narsimha Swami Banavara. Chapter 19. The greatness of the Adambara fig tree and the granting of the boons to the yoginis. Salutations to Lord Ganapati. Salutations to Lord Dattatreya. 1. The great disciple Namadharaka saluted the feet of Guru Siddha, folded his hands, and humbly said this to him. 2. Namadharaka said, Praises be to you, O Guru Siddha. You are the divine light of knowledge that vanquishes the darkness of ignorance. O Saint of Saints, you easily usurp the minds and hearts of your devotees. You are the emancipator of all of us from this ocean of life. 3. My mind was deeply rooted and sleeping in the darkness of passion and ignorance. You made me drink the nectar that is the holy Sri Guru Charitra. 4. My mind has now been stimulated by the brightness of the sunrise, that is the knowledge of the Sri Guru Charitra. O Lord, I have been thus awakened today as a result of your mercy. 5. O Guru Siddha, kindly continue the story. Saying thus, Namadharaka bowed down to Guru Siddha and touched his feet. 6. Hearing his words, Guru Siddha was extremely pleased. He said, O Namadharaka, I shall describe to you in detail the infinite, incomparable, and eternal legend of the Supreme Guru. 7. O great disciple, O Namadharaka, listen. The Supreme Guru resided happily under the holy Adambara, that is fig tree. 8. Hearing these words, Namadharaka said, O Guru, there are several kinds of holy trees. Leaving all the other trees behind, why did the Supreme Guru choose to reside happily under the Adambara tree? 9. The Ashwatha tree is highly regarded by the Vedas, Shastras, and Puranas as very holy and great among all the trees. Why did the Supreme Guru, however, have so much affection for the Adambara tree? Kindly tell me. 10. Guru Siddha said, O Namadharaka, I shall tell you the reason for the Supreme Guru's special affection for the Adambara tree. Listen. Previously, Lord Vishnu incarnated as Lord Narsimha, that is man-lion, in order to destroy the evil demon Hiranyakashipu. 11. Being extremely angry at the demon, the Lord Narsimha used his own fingernails as weapons to cut open the demon's stomach. Later, he wore the demon's intestines as garlands around his neck and roared in delight. Thus he made his dear devotee Prahlada's words come true. 12. At that time, there was an extremely toxic poison in the demon's stomach. This deadly poison was equivalent to the poison of poisons, Kalakuta. This poison was burning like an inferno. Even Lord Narsimha could not tolerate its heat and toxicity. 13. When Lord Narsimha dug at the demon's intestine with his fingernails, the deadly poison spread to all his fingernails. O disciple, pay attention and listen. Unable to tolerate the seething pain and sting caused by the poison, Lord Narsimha began to suffer. At that time, his consort, Goddess Lakshmi, appeared with the fruits of the Adambara tree, that is the figs, and gave them to her Lord as an antidote to the poison. 15. The Lord Narsimha fixed the cool figs to all his fingers. His pains and sufferings were alleviated instantly. The toxicity of the poison was reduced. Finally, the roaring Lord Narsimha quietened down. 16. The Ugra, that is fierce Narsimha, was transformed into Shanta, that is peaceful Narsimha, who then embraced his consort, Goddess Lakshmi. That is, when they realized the amazing power of the fig fruits. Both Lord Narsimha and Goddess Lakshmi were pleased with the Adambara tree that bore these fruits, and they granted several boons to the tree. 17. Lord Vishnu, who had incarnated as Lord Narsimha, said, May this Adambara tree become a Kalpavriksha forever. May there always be bunches and bunches of fruits on this tree. 18. Whoever praises this tree with devotion shall attain fulfillment of all their mind's desires. May the seething sting of the deadliest poison be reduced by the very darshan of this holy tree. 19. Whoever adores and worships this Adambara tree shall achieve fulfillment of all their wishes. They shall also have all their sins destroyed to ashes. 20. Even if a woman is barren, if she worships the Adambara tree and performs pradakshina, that is circumambulations around the tree, and salutes it, shall bear children. May poverty stricken people become rich if they worship the Adambara tree with profound devotion. 21. Whoever has a ritual bath in a body of water that is under the Adambara tree shall gain the merits of bathing in holy Ganga. There is no doubt in this. 22. Whoever performs meditation and penance under this tree shall obtain infinite merits. All their desires shall come true very soon. 23. All kinds of diseases shall be warded away by the worship of this holy tree. Even the deadliest sins, such as Brahmahatya, shall be destroyed by the service and worship of this tree. 24. With whatever desires devout people worship this tree, may all those desires be fulfilled soon. There is no doubt in this statement. 25. This tree shall become the abode of all the gods. I myself shall reside in this tree along with my consort goddess Lakshmi. Thus spoken Lord Narasimha, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and granted the tree several boons. 26. Therefore, this Adambara tree is regarded as the Kalpavriksha, the all-wish fulfilling celestial tree in this Kali Yuga. The fierce and roaring Lord Narasimha became extremely peaceful because of the fruits of this particular tree. 27. That is why he ordained that the effects of even the deadliest of poisons be elevated under this tree. Therefore, the Supreme Guru Sri Narasimha Saraswati chose the holy Adambara tree to reside. 28. Since the tree has been a critical element in the transformation of Lord Narasimha from a fierce deity to a peaceful deity, the Supreme Guru, bearing the same name as the Lord, chose to reside under this very tree. 29. This Adambara tree, which is equivalent to the celestial Kalpavriksha, is easily found everywhere on this earth. Since this tree was especially chosen by the Supreme Guru to reside, the tree attained even more powers to fulfill all the desires of the devotees. 30. The Supreme Guru, who is the very manifestation of the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, resides in the tree in a human form as well. 31. In this form, the Supreme Guru, who is the very manifestation of the Trinity, fulfills all the desires and wishes of his devotees and also liberates them from the cycle of life. In fact, the Supreme Guru has assumed a human form only to bless all his devotees and to sanctify all the pilgrimage spots and tirthas on this earth. 32. The Supreme Guru remained to this day at the base of this holy tree in an invisible form. Every day in the afternoon there is a grand celebration near this tree. 33. After worshipping Lord Amareshwara, the 64 yoginis come every day to the Supreme Guru, salute him with great devotion, and worship him according to procedure. 34. They devoutly pray to him and take him to the residence. There they worship him with gandha, that is fragrant sandalwood paste, akshata, colored sanctified rice, pushpa, flowers, and all the 16 forms of worship. 35. The Supreme Guru happily accepts their worship and adorations, has his meals at the residence, and then comes back to the holy Adambara tree. Without understanding this daily ritual of the Supreme Guru, all the Brahmins of the town of Amarapura were surprised. 36. They said among themselves, "Wow, what a surprise this is! The Supreme Guru does not come to the village of Amarapura every day for Bhiksha at all. How is he remaining in the forest on this island in the middle of the Krishna river without any food?" 37. We cannot seem to understand his mysterious ways. In order to find out what was going on, they secretly hired a Brahmin to keep watch over the Supreme Guru and to find out what he did to get Bhiksha. 38. Then the Brahmin went back to the Sangama. The lone Brahmin kept a secret watch over the Supreme Guru. In the afternoon, the Brahmin suddenly started to shiver out of fright. 39. He thought, if a person attempts to test the Supreme Guru and his mysterious ways, then death is his only destiny, or he may be born as a parasite or a bug. This is not right. 40. Saying thus, he ran away from the spot, frightened, back to the place where other Brahmins were staying. Meanwhile, there was a devout farmer by the name of Ganganuja on the banks of the river. He was a devotee of the Supreme Guru. He looked after his fields and lived off the fields. 41. That afternoon, Ganganuja saw the 64 yoginis come out of the middle of the river in order to worship the Supreme Guru. Each lady was a celestial fairy. The waters of the river Krishna split into two, creating a pathway. Noticing the pathway in the middle of the river, Ganganuja was amazed. 42. He asked himself in surprise, who is this great and powerful saint? How can there be a road in the middle of the water? Today I have seen the great river Krishna split into two before my own eyes. How is this possible? 43. As he was thus thinking, Ganganuja saw the 64 yoginis in the middle of the river. They led the Supreme Guru to their residence, worshipped him according to procedure, and gave him the bhiksha. Later, the Supreme Guru came back to his original spot under the Adambara tree. 44. Ganganuja was extremely surprised to see all this. He said to himself, this saint is the very incarnation of the Supreme Lord. There is no doubt in this. That is why the heavenly yoginis come and worship him. 45. The next afternoon, Ganganuja remained on the banks of the river Krishna and saw the entire celebration again. The yoginis came, worshipped the Supreme Guru according to the procedures and saluted him. 46. As on the previous day, the yoginis led the Supreme Guru to the residence in the middle of the river. Ganganuja followed them furtively. 47. In the middle of the parted river, there was a splendid and illuminated city. There were gem-studded columns and gopuras, that is, pyramidal towers over the gates of the city. 48. That city was divine looking like the heavenly city of Amravati, that is the city of gods. The city was radiant, illustrious, and glorious like the sun. As soon as the Supreme Guru entered the city, several people arrived there happily with lamps in their hands and received the Supreme Guru. 49. The celestial beings performed a Mangala Niranjana, that is, offering of divine light to the Supreme Guru, and led him to the gem-studded illuminated palace. They seated the Supreme Guru on a gem-studded divine throne. 50. They devotedly worshipped the Supreme Guru with all 16 forms of worship according to procedures. They then offered bhiksha to the Supreme Guru. The bhiksha comprised of several delicious and mouth-watering dishes, sweets and savours and fruits. The meal contained all the 6 required rasas, that is flavors, and the 4 types of food. Thus the celestial beings worshipped and appeased the Supreme Guru. Note: the 6 rasas, that is flavors, required for a complete meal are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, spicy, and astringent. The 4 types of food required for a complete meal are bhaksha, that is sweets, savours, and fried foods; bhogya, that is rice and other foods; lehya, that is food that is sipped or licked, such as honey; payasa, that is payasa; and chosya, that is food that is sucked, such as fruits, for example, a mango. 51. After his meal, the Supreme Guru noticed Ganganuja there and asked him, why did you come here? How did you come here? Ganganuja saluted the Supreme Guru with devotion and said, O Master, I came here to have your darshan. 52. Saying this, he fell at the Supreme Guru's feet. His mind was immersed in the feet of the Supreme Guru. He said, O Lord, you are Lord Shiva, the consort of Goddess Girija, another name for Goddess Parvati. You are the very manifestation of the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. 53. I am not competent enough to realize your true nature. I have been enveloped by the troubles and bonds of this illusory life. O mercy personified, O Lord, please rescue me. I am drowning in this difficult ocean of life. 54. You are the emancipator of the whole world. You have incarnated on this earth in order to emancipate your devotees. You are the guiding light for all people who are lost in the darkness of ignorance. 55. One can achieve all the desires just by obtaining your darshan. One shall also attain all happiness and joys as well, both in this world and the next. 56. Thus the farmer Ganganuja praised the Supreme Guru with several chants. The Supreme Guru was very pleased with his chants. He blessed Ganganuja and assured him. 57. The Supreme Guru said, O Ganganuja, all your miseries are over now. You shall achieve fulfillment of all your mind's desires. 58. But mark my words, do not publicize anything that you have seen here. As long as I reside under the holy Adambara tree, you shall obtain my darshan every day. 59. Saying this, the Supreme Guru returned to Adambara. The farmer Ganganuja followed the Supreme Guru to the Adambara tree and saluted him with profound devotion. Note: Adambara is both the name of a place to the west of Amarapura as well as the name of the fig tree. 60. Later, Ganganuja obtained the Supreme Guru's blessings and permissions and happily returned to his home. As a result of the Supreme Guru's blessing, the farmer Ganganuja found immense treasure that was buried in his fields. He became rich instantly. 61. He also became knowledgeable as a result of the Supreme Guru's blessings. Ganganuja would go and obtain darshan of the Supreme Guru every day. He immersed himself in the service of the Supreme Guru. He begot children and grandchildren, acquired wealth, and led a happy and contented life. 62. Every day Ganganuja would come with his wife and salute the Supreme Guru with profound devotion and happily serve him. Days passed. 63. Once it was Purnima, that is full moon day, of the month of Magha, that is about February-March. On that day, Ganganuja saluted the Supreme Guru, bowed his head before the Guru and prayed to him. 64. He said, O Guru, O Lord, all the Brahmins state that a ritual bath during the month of Magha bestows immense merits upon a person. I have also learned that if a person bathes in the holy pilgrimage sites of Kashi, that is Varanasi, Prayaga and Gaya, during the month of Magha, then one attains special merits. 65. O Master, I have been born in a lowly caste. I am just a farmer. I know neither the holy city of Prayaga nor the holy city of Varanasi. Please describe the legend of these cities to me. 66. The Supreme Guru said, O Ganganuja, understand that the Sangama of the rivers Krishna and Panchaganga is the very site of Prayaga. Understand that the holy site of Yugalaya is the very Kashi. 67. Understand that the holy site of Kollapura is the very Gaya. All these three sites form the triangle sites of the south. All of them are wonderful places, but if you really want to visit the holy and divine triangle sites of the north, that is Kashi, Prayaga and Gaya, then you can do so in person. I shall show you the three sites. 68. Saying this, the Supreme Guru sat on his tiger skin mat, wearing his divine padukas, that is sandals. He set off at the speed of thought. Ganganuja, who had steadfast devotion to the Supreme Guru, held on to the mat and followed. 69. They visited Prayaga in the morning and bathed in the holy Triveni Sangama, that is the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and the subterranean Saraswati. In the afternoon they visited Kashi and had the darshan of Lord Vishwanatha, the presiding deity of Kashi. In the late afternoon they visited Gaya. 70. Again at the speed of thought they completed the triangle site visit. By dusk they were back at the Supreme Guru's abode under the holy Adambara tree. The devotee Ganganuja was extremely surprised at all this. 71. This news spread far and wide. Realizing this, the Supreme Guru, who is the puppeteer of the whole world, decided that it was better for him to remain incognito and in seclusion. 72. Having publicized the merits of Amarapura and of the different tirthas, the Supreme Guru went to the abode of Lord Amareshwara to obtain the Supreme Lord's permission to leave the place. 73. Seeing that the Supreme Guru was about to leave the place, the 64 yoginis came to him and said, O Lord, why are you disregarding us? 74. All of our troubles have vanished as a result of your daily darshan. With you close by, it was as if the goddess Annapurneshwari was by our side. Why are you trying to alienate us? Thus, they humbly prayed to the Supreme Guru. Note, Goddess Annapurneshwari, the goddess of food, is another name for Goddess Parvati. 75. Hearing their pitiful words, the Supreme Guru granted the yoginis several boons and made them happy. After all, he is the Bhaktavatsala, that is the friend of the devotees. 76. The Supreme Guru said to the yoginis, I shall reside forever in spirit in Adambara, that is my eternal abode. I shall not be visible in these parts anymore. Note, Adambara is both the name of the place to the west of Amarapura as well as the name of the fig tree. 77. You all reside near this Adambara tree, which is the Kalpavriksha itself. I shall affectionately install the goddess Annapurneshwari here. She shall reside here eternally. 78. This Adambara tree is the very Kalpavriksha for all of you. My eternal residence shall be to the west of Amarapura, which is the town of Adambara. This is certain. 79. Adambara is a very famous place. You will all respect and worship that seat of the Supreme Guru. This site grants devotees all their desires and wishes. You shall always attain fulfillment of all your desires. 80. Whoever worships you, meaning the yoginis, the holy Adambara tree, and my divine padukas, that is sandals, shall always achieve whatever they desire. 81. Goddess Annapurneshwari shall reside here eternally. Feeding of the Brahmins shall occur here every day. People shall achieve all their desires here. They shall also obtain all the Purushastras here. Note, refer to chapter 1, verse 70 for a note on Purushastras. 82-83. If a woman bathes in the Papanashana Tirtha, Kamya Tirtha, and Siddha Tirtha and then performs Abhisheka, that is ritual bathing, to the holy Adambara tree with water 7 times, this lady shall bear a very competent, strong, and long lived son, even though she might be a 60-year-old barren woman to start with. She shall also lead a happy and contented life. Just a ritual bath in these waters rids a person of the deadliest of sins, including Brahmahatya. 84. The merits obtained by just bathing in these waters during the solar and lunar eclipse, as well as during Shankramana, exceeds the merits once obtained by performing the great Ashwamedha sacrifice. Note, Ashwamedha is a great sacrifice performed by the kings. This involves a sacrifice of a horse that has been set free to run all over the lands. The king and the owner of the horse either conquers all the lands that the horse runs through by defeating the kings of those lands, or establishes friendship with the kings of those lands. Finally, the horse is beheaded and sacrificed at the altar. It is believed that the king who performs the Ashwamedha gains superior merits for this life and the next. 85. I shall tell you of the merits one obtains by just bathing once in the waters of these tirthas during Amvasya, that is, new moon, which falls on a Monday, as well as during the days of Vyatipata. 86-87. If a person adores the horns of 1,000 brown cows with golden horn caps, with jingles, and embellishes their hoofs with silver plates, and donates all these decorated divine cows to a scholarly Brahmin, then the person garners immense merits. A person can attain the same merits by bathing in the waters as said above. If a person takes a holy dip in these waters and feeds just one Brahmin with devotion, then he obtains the same merits as one would obtain by feeding 1 crore Brahmins. There is no doubt in this. 88. If one meditates under the holy Adambara tree, then one garners merits crorefold. Similar merits can be attained by performing a ritual sacrifice with a pure mind. 89. If a person performs the Abhisheka, that is ritual bathing of the Paduka sandals, by chanting the Rudra Sukta 11 times, and then performs the puja for the Padukas, then he definitely obtains the merits of an Atirudra Abhisheka. Note, in the Atirudra, 121 devout Brahmins chant the holy Rudra Sukta 11 times a day for 11 days, thus making a total of 14,641 chants of Rudra Sukta. The chants are accompanied by the Abhisheka of the Shivalinga. 90. Whoever performs Pradakshina, that is circumambulations around the Adambara tree slowly and repeatedly, and with steadfast devotion, shall attain the same merits as from the Vajpaya sacrifice. There is no doubt in this. 91. People who perform Pradakshina around the holy Adambara tree and salute the tree shall obtain twice the merits as above. They will also be freed from all their sins. 92. If handicapped people and lepers perform Pradakshina and salute the Adambara tree 1,00,000 times, their bodies will turn into celestial and divine bodies. Note, 1,00,000 is equal to 100,000. 93. That place, meaning Adambara, is such a beautiful sight. The very Kalpavriksha is present there in the form of Adambara tree. I shall remain invisible to the common eyes. O yoginis, however, I shall be visible to your eyes. 94. Thus assuring them, the Supreme Guru disappeared from that sight. He proceeded onward to the place called Gandharvanagara, that is modern Gangapur, in the state of Karnataka, at the Sangama of the rivers Bhima and Amaraja. 95. The Supreme Lord is omnipresent. He is spread all over the world. He is indivisible, but he is an integral part of the holy Adambara tree. He happily resides there infinitely. 96. He shall appear in Gandharvanagara in a visible form to the common man. Since he stays in Adambara eternally as well, that place has become very famous all over the world. 97. O Namadharaka, this has been the legend of the Supreme Guru on the banks of the river Krishna. I shall now describe in detail the legend of the Supreme Guru while at Gandharvanagara. 98. Gangadhar San Saraswati requests the readers, please bathe in the holy waters of the Ganga, that is the holy and excellent Sri Guru Charitra. All people desirous of hearing the legend of the Supreme Guru and all people who are fulfilled with several desires in their mind should bathe in the holy waters of this Ganga-like legend and become blessed. 99. This Guru Charitra is the Kamadhenu, the all wish fulfilling celestial cow. Whoever prays to the Supreme Guru with unwavering and profound devotion shall become fortunate as if they have obtained a large and invaluable treasure. That treasure shall never leave that person's house. Therefore, please praise the Supreme Guru. This ends chapter 19 in the Jnanakanda in the dialogue between Guru Siddha and Namadaraka in the text known as The Legend of Narsimha Saraswati, authored by Gangadhar San Saraswati in the Marathi language as Sri Guru Charitra and referred to as Sri Guru Samhita, composed in Sanskrit language by His Holiness Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati. Om Tat Sat. Mantrahina, Kriyahina, Bhaktihina, Kshamapate. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.